It started with a phone call. Just a regular, everyday moment that turned into something I can't explain. It was around 8 p.m. on a Tuesday, and I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone, half watching a rerun of some sitcom I'd seen a dozen times. My phone buzzed, and the screen lit up with a number I didn't recognize. Normally, I'd ignore it, but something made me pick up. "Hello?" There was silence on the other end. Not static, just the kind of quiet that feels intentional. Then a voice spoke, soft and distant, like it was coming from the other side of a long tunnel. "Is this Sarah?" I frowned. No. I think you have the wrong number." The voice hesitated, then said, "Are you sure?" That caught me off guard. "Yeah, I'm sure. Sorry." I hung up, feeling a little unsettled. A few minutes later, the phone buzzed again. Same number. I let it ring this time, watching the screen until it stopped. A voicemail notification popped up almost immediately. Against my better judgment, I listened. "Sarah," the voice said, more insistent now. "Why aren't you answering? You said you'd help me. Please, don't leave me here." A chill ran through me. I deleted the voicemail, convincing myself it was some desperate stranger who dialed the wrong number. It happens, right? The next day at work, I got another call. Same number. I was in the middle of a meeting and declined it, but my phone vibrated seconds later with another voicemail. I didn't listen to it until I was home. This time, the voice sounded different. Less distant, more urgent. "Sarah, you promised. I can't do this alone. You have to come back." My stomach nodded. I wasn't Sarah. I didn't know this person. Why did they keep calling me? That night, I dreamed of a woman standing in the middle of a dark, empty street. Her face was pale and blurry, like a photograph that hadn't developed properly. She was crying, but her sobs were soundless, her shoulders shaking in silence. When she looked up at me, her eyes were dark holes, endless and hollow. I woke up gasping, the sheets damp with sweat. My phone was on the nightstand, buzzing with another call. Same number. This time I answered. "Listen," I snapped. "I don't know who you think I am, but you've got the wrong person. Stop calling me." The silence stretched so long, I almost thought they'd hung up. Then the voice whispered, "You're lying." A cold wave of fear washed over me. "I'm not. You said you wouldn't leave me." The voice cut in, louder now. Angry. "You said you'd help me, Sarah." "I'm not Sarah," I yelled, slamming the phone down. But the calls didn't stop. Over the next few days, they came at random times. Early in the morning, during my lunch break, in the middle of the night. Each time, the voicemails grew more frantic, the voice more desperate. "Why are you doing this to me? I need you, Sarah. Please. It's so dark. It's so cold." By Friday, I was barely functioning. My coworkers noticed I was distracted. My boss pulled me aside to ask if everything was okay. I lied, told her I wasn't sleeping well, but the truth was, I was terrified. That night, the call came again. But this time, when I picked up, it wasn't the voice I'd grown used to. It was deeper, harsher, with an edge of something inhuman. "Sarah's dead." I froze. My mouth went dry, and my voice came out as a whisper. "What?" "Sarah's dead," it repeated. "And you're next." I dropped the phone like it had burned me, my chest tightening as panic set in. I thought about calling the police, but what could I say? That some random voice on the phone was threatening me? They'd dismiss me as paranoid. I barely slept that night. Around 3 a.m., I woke to the sound of footsteps outside my bedroom door. My heart stopped. I lived alone. Hello? I called out, my voice trembling. The footsteps stopped. Then, slowly, the doorknob turned. I grabbed my phone and called 911, whispering to the operator that someone was in my apartment. The seconds felt like hours as I stared at the door, waiting for it to open. But it never did. By the time the police arrived, the apartment was empty. No signs of forced entry, no evidence that anyone else had been there. But my phone was lying on the nightstand, screen lit up with a new voicemail notification. My hands trembled as I picked it up. The police officers were still there, checking the locks and windows, so I played the voicemail on speaker. The voice was different again. Calm, cold, and deliberate. Why did you call them? They can't help you. No one can. I dropped the phone, my stomach twisting in knots. One of the officers picked it up, frowning at the screen. Miss, are you sure you're okay? Are you sure you didn't just imagine the call? I grabbed the phone from him, furious. You heard it too. He exchanged a glance with his partner, who shrugged. There's nothing on the voicemail, the second officer said, holding up a small audio recorder. I recorded what you played. It's just silence. I snatched the phone back and played the voicemail again, desperate for them to hear it. But they were right. This time, it was nothing but empty static. My skin crawled. The officers gave me a tired look, told me to lock my doors, and left. I stayed awake the rest of the night, clutching a kitchen knife and staring at my phone, waiting for it to buzz again. It didn't. The next day, I tried to go about my life, pretending the calls had stopped, that things were back to normal. But everything felt wrong. People on the subway seemed to stare at me too long. The cashier at the grocery store flinched when I handed her my money, as though I'd brushed her hand with something freezing. By the time I got home, the air in my apartment felt heavier, stifling. The second I walked in, I knew I wasn't alone. Who's there? I called, gripping the knife I'd started carrying in my bag. No response. Just that oppressive silence, the kind that almost had weight to it. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I almost ignored it, but curiosity, or fear, got the better of me. I looked at the screen. The number wasn't the one I'd gotten used to. This one wasn't even a number. It was just zeros. A string of endless zeros. I answered. What do you want from me? The voice that answered was distorted, layered with static, like 100 people speaking at once. You lied. You said you'd help her. I don't know Sarah, I shouted. I don't know who she is or what this is about. You're lying again, the voice hissed, and suddenly, the lights in my apartment flickered. The temperature dropped, my breath clouding in the air. Then, a whisper came from behind me. Close. Too close. She's here. I spun around, knife raised, but the room was empty. My phone slipped from my hands, clattering to the floor. The screen was still lit, the call still connected. And then I saw it, my reflection in the darkened TV screen across the room. Except it wasn't my reflection. It was a woman, pale and blurry, her eyes dark and hollow like the dream. She was standing right behind me, her mouth moving in soundless words. I turned to run, but the door slammed shut on its own. The lights flickered wildly, and the phone on the floor began to buzz uncontrollably. I scrambled to pick it up, but before I could, the screen went black. The apartment fell silent again, but not empty. The air grew thick, pressing against me, and then I heard it, a faint whisper, coming from every direction. Sarah lied. Sarah lied. Sarah lied. I screamed, banging on the door, trying to get it open. Finally, it gave, and I stumbled into the hallway, where my neighbor stared at me, wide-eyed. Are you okay? she asked. But when she looked past me into the apartment, her face paled. She stepped back, shaking her head. "Don't go back in there," she said, her voice trembling. "Whatever you brought in with you, it's not leaving." I never went back. I moved in with a friend the next day, leaving everything behind. The calls stopped for a while, but sometimes, late at night, I feel my phone vibrate, even when it's turned off. I don't answer anymore. But last week, I woke up to a new voicemail. The number was zeros again. I deleted it without listening. Or at least I thought I did. Because sometimes, when I'm alone, I still hear the voice. And it's not asking for Sarah anymore. It's asking for me.